Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Y'all ready for this?
All right, average Jock fans, welcome back to
Why are you
the
yelling?
episode.
Why are you
Well,
yelling?
this is why I don't want to do it. Okay, you go.
I'm not cutting it.
Okay, that's all right.
All right, average Jocks fans. Pulling at him here again. This guy's a fucking hot mess.
Yeah, sorry, man. You can't just throw that at me at the start of the episode. You got to give me a heads up.
We're joined by former NHLer Martin St.Pierre. Martin, welcome to the show.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. A rough start to the episode
Yeah,
so
that's
far.
bad.
It's Monday blues.
Yeah, we'll call it that.
So hopefully this goes
It's all
up,
gone.
goes up
I'm ready
from
to go.
here, I guess,
Yeah,
or goes
I'm ready to go.
downhill from here. Which one is
I mean,
easier to go
I'm
downhill?
ready to go now. I'm
All
ready to
right,
go.
all right.
Ready to go.
All right. So Adam, as normal, you've done your background fact checking on our guest.
Yeah, I did what I could.
So let's hear what you dug up on Martin St.Pierre.
All right. Well, you're from a small town, just like Joel and I. If I read correctly, you were born in Auburn.
Well, yep,
Yeah,
that's correct.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're both French, so the French might come out a little bit, but
No.
I mean,
Sure.
with the last name, with your last name St. Pierre, I'm assuming you're French as well.
You can't be more French than that. Yeah.
And I'm assuming you went to Iron High School.
Yeah. So I was born in Nepean, actually, because my dad was a police officer back in '83. And then when I was 1 year old, my mom's from Auburn.
Okay.
So we moved back to Embrun because she wanted me to learn French before English. So we grew up. My parents we're selling the house right now. We're building a triplex, but as of for 38 years, my parents still had the same house that we grew up in.
Wow. Just bragging here, Adam and I. We beat Embrun in the only year I played high school football. We won the championship. We went undefeated.
I mean,
Just humble brag.
I didn't get to play because an Auburn player hurt me, but
Okay, nice.
I mean, all right. Well, I guess we should talk hockey. I guess what this is what the podcast is for. So, being from a small town, obviously, you had few teams. I guess you were a little close to Ottawa, so you probably played some hockey up there. You growing up, but I know you played 1 year for the Hawkesbury Hawks, if I read correctly.
Correct,
And then
yeah.
you jumped into the OHL. How was it jumping from junior A hockey to where some guys kind of play their 4 years and then they quit playing to a league where you're like, oh shit, some of these guys are here for the real deal. Like, how was it adjusting to that type of hockey?
Yeah, so I played for back then. We had it was called the Eastern Ontario Cobras. So basically, it was from Hawkesbury to Rockland to basically not Cornwall. I think Alexandria, maybe all the way to Embrun to close to Navan. So basically, all Prescott Russell was Eastern Ontario Cobras. So we had a lot of players to choose from. So I kind of peaked maybe my second year at Pee Wee, and then my minor and major Bantam. Kind of, I was on my way to wanted to play or kind of make somewhat of a living for hockey, or at least aspired to, right? And I played in for the Hawkesbury Hawks in '99 and 2000. Won the Rookie of the Year there. So I kind of, it's a big jump from minor hockey to Central Junior A, but you play with some of the big boys now, where I came in as a 16-year-old and I was probably 150 pounds soaking wet. But back then I had some good line mates, and like I said, won the Rookie of the Year, put up some points, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play in the OHL or if I went to go to college. So I kind of took the safe route, being exposed to like a lot of college teams in the States. And I had a lot of interest from Ohio State, OSU, and then Clarkson, I think St. Lawrence. So it was good, but at some point I got drafted. I think it was 16th round. So I don't know, over 200 players in the OHL, 16th round for the Guelph Storm. And somehow I had to make a decision if I wanted to go to camp. Because if you go to camp in junior, you would lose your eligibility to go play for college hockey, right? This is back then. This is in 99, 2000. So rules definitely changed by then. But and I woke up one day and then I was about to sign my scholarship, and then woke up one day and told my dad I want to go play major junior. So my dad kind of just, wasn't really sure what to do, but I went to camp uh in June 2000 and I absolutely rocked it. So I kind of got a sniff of knowing that I could play with some of the, because you go from Eastern Ontario Tier 2 Central Junior A to now it's the OHL where it's all over Ontario and you got guys from the States coming in. So I kind of knew that I could play, and then there's a big step, but that was basically my decision to go the OHL route.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I remember I was June 2000 doing Jerry Brown skating school. That guy was a fucking menace. Hopefully you never came across that guy in your hockey trials. Like, he loved to make kids cry. That guy was a douche. What was his name? Fuck.
I never did any of that.
Bougie, George Bougie. Fuck that guy.
The voice of the Cornwall Colts?
Yeah,
Come
fuck
on.
that guy.
Yeah. I remember playing the Cornwall Colts. We were playing across the street from that Civic Center.
Yeah, the Cy Miller.
Oh, the Cy.
That doesn't stand anymore.
It's a great barn.
Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah, it's
That
not
was
there
a-
anymore. That's been gone for at least 10 years
Yeah.
now.
Did you hit your head coming out from underground?
Yeah, that was a very intimidating building to play in for sure.
Yeah, they
We played
doubled.
once at the Civic Center, and then we went across the street. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, that's what they play now, and it's so warm in there. Like, it's not like, hey, I play beer league, so but like, even if a beer league team can rough up that ice, like, it's
Yeah. Not for sure.
Yeah.
Playing
No.
quicksand.
no.
So-
Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay.
Give her.
I mean, playing. I mean, you said you had to make the tough decision between college to OHL. I mean, do you remember what went into that decision? I know you said you woke up one day and you're like, I want to go to the O. Like, what kind of flicked that switch? Because I mean, that's a big gamble. Like you said, back then the rules, you're pretty much just shooting the dice that you have a good camp and you make the team.
Big time. Honestly, I can't even pinpoint what it was that I made my decision. It literally was woke up one day. I don't know if I saw a 67s game the night before on TV or I can't even tell you right now. Obviously it's been a while, but even my dad was like, "Are you sure?" And when I made that decision, the GM Alan Miller, who I think now works for Hockey Canada, came down to Ottawa. We went golfing, and then my dad made sure to put you can't really call it back then a scholarship in Canada, but 4 years of university paid for in case I play major junior, because obviously when you play major junior, like I said, you lose eligibility to play in the States for college. But you can go after you're 20-year-old or 19, you can go play in Canada for CIS, wherever. So I had 4 years paid for after junior, in which I ended up going to for 5 weeks at Dalhousie when I was after my 20-year-old year, because that was the first lockout in 0405.
Mhm.
So it was a big gamble. And I mean, looking back, that was a pretty big gamble for my parents too. Kind of in there, but I guess he believed in me, and then I kind of got some confidence going to camp and seeing that. So
Did you have a backup plan? Like, if camp didn't work out, like, what were you gonna do?
you know what? I don't even know. Like, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. Maybe, I probably would have came back to Hawkesbury, I guess. But I went full throttle, and it paid off in the end. But that's honestly, I've never been asked that question.
What first?
It's Jocks here for first.
Yes. Yeah,
Asking the tough questions.
Because like my cousin Chase had like kind of the same thing. He was drafted by the Oshawa Generals coming out of junior hockey. He was from Atlanta, came here and played for the Colts for a year, and then he went to Maine for 1 year, and then he's like, well, I have the choice. Like, I can play here in the OHL or I go back. And he went back and ended up being successful in college. Got captain his last year, and now he's playing
It's
for
awesome.
the Grand Rapids Griffins, right? So, like you said, it's a big choice to make. Like,
It's a big choice, and you don't realize the extent of it, or the how big of a decision it can impact your life. It could be it's either you go up or down, right? But once you realize what you've done, you just got to go, like I said, full throttle. I love that. I love saying that because you just you put the blinders on, you just go as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, the toughest decision I had to make at that age was if I'm having another Jaeger bomb on the Tuesdays at the Mexican bar in Montreal. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I know one year I think it was your final year with the Guelph Storm. You had pretty remarkable season, I guess you can say. You gotta if these stats websites have screwed me over before, so if I get these wrong, you gotta call me out.
All right,
So from what I saw, you had 110 points in 68 games.
that's right.
Like, was there a point where like the boys in the room were just like, all right, get fucking Martin the puck and let's just watch this happen? Like, like you must have been like on like, cloud.
Yeah, it was one of those where my first year, you're a rookie, so I still put up some points, and then they kind of start believing in you. And obviously I'm a power play guy, kind of getting my points. I always get 2-3 assists to every goal, so I'm more of a playmaker, obviously, and I need to have the puck. I'm not the fastest guy. I wasn't the fastest guy, but I would let the puck do the work. That's what my coaches would say, right? So I would never beat a guy one-on-one, but if they came to me, then I would pass the puck right through them, kind of thing. So third year I got hurt. I fractured my kneecap, so that was kind of I missed a lot of games for that. I blocked a shot, and I think I was trying to get out of the way, to be honest with you, but broke my knee, fractured my kneecap, had surgery. And then my fourth year, overage, there's only 3 per teams, in the OHL. So I was fortunate enough. Our power play was me, Ryan Callahan, obviously, who retired.
yeah, he was a decent player.
Yeah, he's all
I
right.
was
Yeah,
a decent
not
player.
bad.
So that was my winger. And then I had Brett Trudell, who's from Sault Ste. Marie's, a cop now in Windsor, but he was a perfect fit, right? Big guy, right shot. I'm a lefty, so I needed to play with some right-handed shots. And then on the point we had Kevin Klein and Dan Girardi, so 2 NHL
Okay,
guys.
another half
And
decent
then
player.
so basically as a lefty and a playmaker, I had 4 right players that can put the puck in the net. So basically we were pissed if I didn't get 2-3 points a game. Just everything. We had a good team. We were well coached, and we just kept winning, whether it was Friday night or Sunday afternoon in London, and the points just kept coming. So, then you get some confidence, you get a little swagger. It can be very dangerous.
Yeah,
That's kind of fucking rough. Sunday afternoon after Saturdays for the boys.
Yeah,
like that's
a tough go.
It's not easy.
Yeah. When you fractured your kneecap, were you doing the old flamingo block shot? Is that what happened?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I knew it as soon as you said you were trying to get out of the way. I just said
Yeah.
flamingo. Yeah.
Now, then you turn pro, and then you kind of instead of lining up with the puck, you line up with the actual shin pads of the other player who's shooting. So it looks like you're in the shot lane, but you're not. But
tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
I got called out actually in Chicago my first year when I got called up. Denis Savard was the head coach, and I think he put me on PK. I don't know what I was doing on PK, but threw me some ice time, and I did the flamingo. Obviously, the NHL shots are quite hard, and here I am, like not really sure what to do. And after the game, he pulled me in, and he's like, on video and slowed it down, and you can see my leg just completely flamingo. And he's like, "There's none of this in this league." So, so it's better. But you know what? You learn quick that if you line up properly and you take it in the shin pads, it doesn't hurt as much as if you turn sideways. And that, sure enough, that's how I fractured my kneecap.
How hard was it to skate after that?
You know what? I was supposed to be out 6 weeks, and then I was playing after 4.5 weeks. So I still have the 2 pins in my kneecap, but I had some good doctors and some good rehab, and I didn't know till the next morning. It happened in Plymouth, and then I finished the game. Something was wrong, but I didn't really know exactly what it was. And then the next morning, my billets, I was with my roommate Nico Tuomi, who was my co-captain in my last year. I tried to walk up the stairs and I had zero, like no strength, nothing. Obviously, just a kneecap, and the defensive mode from my body just shut down. So I went for X-rays, and sure enough,
Yeah,
fracture.
boys, knee feels a little fucky.
Yeah, but something wrong with the old knee. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wow.
So, talk to us a bit about kind of the next step. Then you went from the O, and then where'd you end up?
Yeah. So basically, I won the Overage Player of the Year. I had 110 points. Never been drafted, which that kind of worked in my favor at the end. And then I went playoff MVP, so we ended up winning the OHL. Broke a few records here and there, so everything was going my way. Like I was on cloud nine. We didn't do well at the Mem Cup in Kelowna, but nobody was getting signed. Like all the NHL teams know, like a year before when if there's going to be a lockout or not, basically, right? So you can't really trust what the media says. But I had my school package, right? So my agent, I remember it was probably like end of June, and I thought I was going to sign somewhere, and sure enough, he's like, you might as well take your school package. And my best buddy that I grew up with, JF Perra, was a goalie from Embrun, actually. He was a goalie at Dalhousie in Halifax, going into his third year. So he's like, just come here, we'll have some fun. But I was kind of like, I wasn't ready for school. I just finished winning the OHL. I'm competing against guys like the Corey Perrys. Like we beat London in the conference finals. Like guys are going to the NHL, and I'm going to school, which there's nothing wrong to going to school, but I wasn't ready mentally, kind of thing. So I ended up taking my school package, went there for 5 weeks, and somehow I got a phone call. And this is how small the hockey world is. Jeff Ward, who was the head coach of the Edmonton Roadrunners at the time, because during the lockout of 405, they put a team in Edmonton called the Roadrunners, and we played at the Rexall place where the Oilers, the old arena. And he's from Guelph. So he was the head coach of the Guelph Storm, like late 90s. And somehow, obviously, word gets around kind of thing. And they had one roster spot left for training camp. And he called me, and here's another, shot in the dark, where if I went to camp in Edmonton in September, after being 5 weeks at Dalhousie, I would lose my school package again. And, and I was like, I'd call my dad again. And I was like, I want to go. Like, this is my shot. And if I don't make it, so be it. But now it's not, it's 4 years of school. Like, it's expensive,
Yeah.
Packed my bags the next day, left Halifax, flew into Ottawa, dropped my bags, and went to Edmonton and had the best camp. And then I signed a 2-year deal with them. But the lockout was 1 year. So I played up in Greenville, South Carolina, in the East Coast. And then the rest half of the year in Edmonton. I was playing really well. And that's kind of where I kind of got another second win of, playing the OHL, but now I'm playing pro, not so much in the East Coast, but in the AHL during the lockout, which there's NHL players.
Yeah.
So I was playing with Jared Stoll, Rafi Torres,
those are some fucking names.
Yeah.
So those two guys would pick me up every morning. So I kind of got the itch of like, not saying I could jump to the NHL right away, but I can keep up, and I'm still fairly young. So that's what was my high from winning the OHL. And sure enough, the rest is history. Didn't go to school, lost my school package, but then I turned pro. So that's why it paid off for me, in the sense where I never got drafted. So I could go kind of pick my spot and, weigh my pros and cons and kind of sneak my way in the back door.
So, I mean, just to touch on the couple guys you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, you've played with Callahan, Girardi, and now Jared Stoll. So 3 cup winners.
Yeah.
Playing with them at a young age, like, were you able to tell, like, okay, these guys, like, there's something special about these players?
Well, it's when you play junior, you don't really know like the gist of, man, like I went to Ryan Callahan's jersey retirement in Guelph last was in November, and I hadn't seen him since when he played in Hartford before when he was with the Rangers before camp. So I hadn't seen him in a long, long time. But I looked at him and I'm like, now he's on, I think ESPN Sports and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm like 2 cups. Like, this is amazing. Dan Girardi was at his retirement too, and he's got a cup. These guys are full on 700 NHL games. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm not saying I had any part of it as far as well. I mean, we put up the points in junior, but I wish I had their career and stuff. But everybody's different. But obviously there was something special. Like it's one thing me passing the puck, but they still got to score the goals. They still got to one time the puck and play their role. So, but it's nice to see. It was nice to be part of like those younger days and see them flourish.
And then the flip side of it, Rafi Torres.
Yeah.
had I don't think he won a cup, but he definitely had his name on the suspension list a few times.
Everyone knows Rafi Torres, right?
Like, was that guy as wild off the ice as he seemed on the ice?
I mean, we were watched a lot in Edmonton, and obviously they all knew, Jared Stoll and Rafi Torres playing, last first years and 2 years prior they were playing in the NHL now, or the year before they were playing the NHL. Now they're in the AHL. So, they had a magnifying glass on their back. But no, I mean, I got along with both of them. Awesome. They definitely taught me what the pro life was about, even if it was in the A. As far as, like I said, I lived at the hotel, so they would pick me up in the morning really early, have some coffee, get to the rink, do your workout. So, I mean, I know Rafi quite well. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but from what I know, he can shake it off the ice. Who can't? Right? Who doesn't? But suspensions or not, he's a great guy, and he definitely helped me. Him and Jared definitely helped me, pave the way as far as what it takes to be a pro early on in my career.
Yeah, I remember Rafi Torres and Fernando Pisani. Just being a big fan of them in that 06 Cup run.
Wicked names there.
A long time ago.
So, like, how does it work? Like, like you said, you kind of came up and you signed with Edmonton and stuff like that. Like, how does it work, like, AHL wise? I know, like, usually it's like you get signed by the NHL team and then you either play with them or get sent down. Like, is it the same contract wise? Because you never really see like these big contract like lengths in AHL if you do sign to stay with an AHL team.
Yeah, so for me, because there's no NHL, right? So I only had to sign an AHL East Coast. So it's a one-way AHL East Coast. So everything's prorated, right? So again, that kind of worked in my favor because I signed a 2 years AHL deal in Edmonton, but then they were only there for a year. So basically they traded me or whatever to the Blackhawks, but then it was Norfolk that picked up my contract. Norfolk Admirals, because back then they were with the Blackhawks. So I was on an AHL deal. Edmonton's done. I'm finishing my second year contract, and then I'm tearing it up.
Yeah, you're on a couple of years, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first year in Norfolk, like I was on a high and picked up where I left off. And then obviously the NHL was going. And then that's when, obviously, to play in the NHL, you have to sign an NHL contract. So they kind of voided my AHL deal and kind of restructured it so I can sign with the Blackhawks. So it was a two-way NHL AHL. So I could play in the AHL, obviously make my AHL salary, and then get called up. And that's when I ended up playing my my first game in Dallas, my first NHL game.
So in Norfolk, you had 99 points in the 2006-07 season.
Yeah.
In 100 PIMs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's going on here? Yeah.
He got
all
he got the finesse from Callahan, Girardi, Stoll,
yeah.
and then he learned how to pick up some PIMs from Torres.
Yeah.
They're all minors, I think. I don't think I fought twice in my career, later in my career. But no, we had Sean Thornton, we had Mike Brown, who's a first round in Vancouver. We had Reed Lowe.
Wow.
Yeah, we had Reed Lowe, we had David Kochi. Like we had some tough guys in Norfolk. And our closest trip was 5 hours to Philly, Wilkes-Barre, or Hershey. So I mean, when guys were coming to town, they had to play us back to back. So it was rocking at it's called the Scope Arena in Norfolk. So it's nice weather. I mean, you're in Virginia, we're living at Virginia Beach, so everything was good, but you kind of get a little cocky as putting up the points and having these tough guys. So I mean,
Yeah.
I flashed a lot of guys and went through a phase where they would fight for me and stick up for me and they've definitely called me out after games where it's like, if you want to do that, you got to stand up on your own for yourself. But that year again, it was, now I did in the OHL and now I'm doing it in the AHL as far as, if I got 2 goals and assists, I had a bad game. Right. So it's kind of like that mentality where you're so hungry for goals. And I think I had, how many goals did I have with my 99 points? 40.
Oh, I didn't write that down.
Yeah, yeah. But I was scoring a lot of goals too, which was good. So I was kind of being a little bit more selfish with the puck. But then again, I was playing with Troy Brower, Brandon Bachensky, Pierre-Alexandre Pronto. We had Bufflin on D,
Oh,
Cam Barker. We had David Bolin, Chris Versteeg.
So pretty much everybody they won the cup with a few years later.
Yeah, so basically that's the story of my first 5 years. So they won the cup in 2010. Basically all the guys that got called up, Crawford, obviously, in net, Bufflin, Barker. Barker was in there, I think. He was a black case. Yeah, Versteeg, Bolin. Eager was there, yeah. Adam Burish, Jack Skilly. Those were all the guys that won. They came out of Wisconsin. So yeah, so basically my years, all the guys that got called up, I got traded to Boston 08-09, and then they won the cup in 2010. So I missed the cup by 2 years, I guess, but just watching it on TV and seeing all the guys that I played with in the minors win the cup, that was nice to see. But then I go to Boston, and then the year that I'm there, my winger is Vladimir Sobotka, who's a Czech guy who played a little bit in St. Louis after.
Yeah.
Austin, and then I had Brad Marchand, who's my winger.
Okay, not bad.
And and then we had Johnny Boychuk on D, and then like Adam McQuaid and Tuukka Rask net. So 2 years prior after that, they end up winning the cup in 2011. So it's nice to see again those guys. So I guess I'm good.
You're a good luck charm.
So what you're saying?
Good luck charm, and then I leave.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that championship teams need you to build around you, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I guess
That's kind of what you're saying. That's what
they get a little confidence playing with Marty St.Pierre, and then
exactly. And then I send you off, and then
yeah.
I've
taught you everything I can teach you.
Go ahead, young Padawan.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's good time. Those years were fun.
Well, they'll have to put your name in an asterisk next to those cup victories.
I think so.
Special thanks.
Yeah.
Player development.
Yeah. So, talk to us. Your first game, you were playing with the Blackhawks, and you said you played Dallas. What was that like, getting that call? Like, hey, you're going up to big leagues.
Yeah, I remember like it was yesterday. Obviously, because it's a dream come true, and that's what you wait for or dream of as a kid. It was in Providence, and obviously I was playing for Norfolk, and I had a bad game. I was in a slump or something, but remember going to the hotel, and then the phone rang at like 1:00 in the morning, and usually like they either like turn off our phones or like we unplug it. Just you don't want anybody to mess with your sleep kind of thing. But I wasn't really superstitious. I can sleep through anything, but somehow I hear the phone, and it's my agent. Sorry, it's the GM, Al McIsaac for Norfolk, that calls me downstairs in the lobby, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, what did I do? Did I do that? And he's giving it to me. I mean, like, he's putting me in my place, like, you got to play better and all that stuff. But you're going up to you got to go. You got to wake up early in the morning because you're going to Dallas and you're going to go play your first NHL game. So that was kind of like a chain of events. And then
he played good cop and bad cop.
Yeah.
To your new hassle, and then congratulations.
Passed it up, yeah.
Exactly. See you later.
Don't fucking embarrass me.
Yeah.
So call my parents. So call my parents. My mom worked for Canada, so
also at 1 a.m.
It was by that time it was probably 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, woke them up, but I mean that's what they they wanted to hear, right? So and then met them in Dallas, and then they saw them before the game. And I had to deal with my dad growing up that he was a cop, obviously, so he had a big mustache. And, he told me when I was, I think, like 14 or 15, as kind of like a joke, but like a little father and son deal, that if I ever played in the NHL, he'd shave his mustache. And then, sure enough, obviously, played my game. He had his mustache, but I didn't know that right before the game, after seeing me, he went in the bathroom and obviously took a Bic razor and shaved his mustache. So
Wow.
after the game, I didn't really know where the friends and family room was, and I saw my mom and my aunt, my brother, and I walked right by my dad and then never recognized my dad without a mustache.
Wow.
I've never seen him in my life. My mom never even saw my dad without a mustache. He always had his mustache, so that was pretty neat to see. But I don't really remember much of that game. I remember taking my first face off the second shift of the game. We got scored on the first shift, so they threw my line with Mark Bell and I think Tyler Anderson or something like that. So that was just a filler for that game, basically. But show up center ice and it's Mike Modano taking the face off
There
against
you
me.
go.
Yeah, but my wrist went sideways back. He was a strong guy, but I don't really get starstruck, but that was pretty cool to, take a face off against him.
So, did you win the draw?
I got absolutely dusted.
Okay.
That's what I meant. My wrist went sideways. Like I didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
So, I'm also invested in your dad's mustache
Yeah,
now.
no,
Has
yeah.
he since grown it back?
No, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. I think he got the itch of it, but I think he probably had it for when did I play? 24. So yeah, good 25 years, probably later than that.
So, what does mom think of no mustache?
She liked it. She liked it for sure. I mean, you can't go wrong without a mustache, but
The wife won't let me shave. It's pitiful at best. Like it's
Yeah.
early, like Sidney Crosby mustache.
okay.
And the wife just won't let me shave it. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of this itchy thing, but
Yeah.
I do. I'm committed now. I'm committed.
All right. So I guess once you went up to the NHL, what would you say the difference was? Like, do you feel like you ever got the craft? Like, I know you said you were a filler there, but like, do you feel like you didn't get the same opportunities you got in the AHL when you went up to the NHL?
It's hard to say. I mean, I kind of wish I had more opportunities, but then that's when you get into the politics of like big contracts,
Yeah.
draft picks. First, second rounders will always get, 10, 15 chances more than anybody
Yeah.
else. But there's a reason why they're drafted first and second round. So it's kind of bittersweet. But I had two cracks at it. I had my years in Chicago. I think I had I scored my I had a couple of assists. I was playing in New York. I scored in Pittsburgh, I think, my second goal, and then went to New York. I was playing with Havlat or something. I was feeling good, but I was getting sent down. So it's kind of hard because that even if I'm making minimum salary and I'm a call up, I could have a goal a game for 10 games. Once that guy comes back to number one
Yeah.
center, he's making $5, $6, $7 million. You're going right down the minors, right? Yeah. Unless someone really gets hurt. But I think my biggest crack at it was in Boston because Bergeron got hurt. One of his concussions at home against Philly. I think it was Jones that hit him or something. And then I was like, okay, like this, it's not nice to say, but Bergeron's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's the best off the ice, and obviously his on ice speaks for himself, but for itself. But that was my chance to go, and I think I had 3 points in 4 games. I scored in Pittsburgh, scored in Islanders. I had an assist, or I think I had 4 and 3, and then I scored in shootouts in Toronto to win the game because I took a penalty in overtime. So Claude Julien sent me in shootouts, and I scored against Toscala. So I was like,
So that
okay.
was a punishment?
Something like that, yeah. Just because, one of those, but it was the All-Star break after. So in my head, I was like, okay, I'm staying with the team for sure. I'm gonna go home, take the All-Star break and come back. But they had other plans where they said, we're gonna send you down to Providence, and then we'll call you back up. But that was when if you played 10 games up, if you got sent down, you had to clear waivers. So I was at my 9 games and I didn't know. And then I got sent down, never called back up. So a lot of politics come in and stuff like that. But other than that, it's hard for the difference for me to be an all-star in the AHL and number one line center in the AHL. And then it's almost like for me to the type of player that I was to perform in the NHL would have to be in the top two lines, as in like a finesse player.
Yeah.
But the difference between that is like tremendous. Like those guys are top-notch world-class players. They're fast. Just the reaction time is faster. They're that much better. So I mean, it would be, you'd have to make a big jump to do that. So basically, if you look at the other end, like I'm playing like, almost 18, 20 minutes in the AHL, putting 3-4 points a game. But then I'm getting called up and playing 5 minutes, 6 minutes on the fourth line. You're still playing the NHL by all means, but you're just dumping chase, trying not to get scored on. So it's kind of like, happy to be there, but that you're getting to sit back down. So I was mostly like, it's called a bubble player, right? But no regrets.
No, I mean, yeah, because like even the times, like you said, you'd get sent down if they were like, "Oh, we're gonna call you back up." Like it's not like you went down and put your tail between your legs and quit playing. Like there's some times you got sent down and you got like you said 3-4 points a game. Like to me that speaks a lot about who you are, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Like you still went out there, played the game you loved. You took it on the chin. You were obviously upset, but that's great.
Exactly.
That's wicked.
That's exactly it.
So growing up from Embrun, I mean, you would have been a fan, I'm assuming, of Montreal over Toronto. And then did you switch allegiances once Ottawa came into the league?
No, so my dad was a Habs fan, still is a Habs fan, diehard Habs fan. So obviously on the French side, right? But when I grew up, I was born in '83, and the Sens didn't come in Ottawa till '91.
Yeah.
So, and half of Ottawa's Toronto and half the other half of Ottawa's the Habs fans. So, I was always a Habs fan. Obviously being a local team, but from Embrun to go all the way to Canada, which is on the other side of Ottawa, it's almost quicker just to go to Montreal and watch the Habs at the old Montreal Forum. So I grew up watching.
I mean, you ended up playing for the Habs.
Yeah.
So I think you only played one game with the Habs.
Yeah.
But how fucking sick is that?
Was it at the Bell Center?
Sick. Yeah. What's that?
Was the game at the Bell Center that you played?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was sick. So I got to play actually in 2010. I got to play 3 games for Ottawa for the Sens. So I got to play 2. I think it was 2 in 2 in Ottawa and then 1 away. But that was pretty cool. Obviously, it's in Ottawa, playing for the Sens. A lot of friends and family came to that, but it was scoring my first NHL goal was pretty big. Playing my first NHL game was awesome, but playing that was my 10th year in North America. And I told myself, if I can play 1 game for the Habs when I signed with Hamilton that year, that would be it. And I could take my career to Europe. And sure enough, I got to play. Darnay got benched. Got scratched.
Rightfully so.
And he was playing bad, but I mean, it was kind of hard to take his spot. Like he was playing really good, but played at the Bell Center and all the family was there. Lots of all the cousins, and that was probably the pinnacle of my career.
So like, I'm just gonna try and live through you right now. How was that? Like, obviously being a fan, but also the stature of the Canadians. And I mean, I don't want to take away from the Senators. And I mean, you played for 3 out of the 6 original 6 teams.
Yeah.
Like, how was it suiting up for the Montreal Canadiens? Like, how was that?
Yeah, I mean, Le Bleu Blanc Rouge, right? Like that was the year where they did like the 24/7. So kind of like the show Big Brother on TV where they had the cameras. Like you can even pick your nose. Like it'd be on camera. I mean, so I was sitting beside Pacioretty and Plekanec in the locker room. And they were obviously really cool. I knew PK from a while back. So, but when you see Carey Price, Markov, all those guys.
Yeah, everybody that's hanging up in my my man cave here.
You're
Yeah.
pretty much naming.
Yeah,
We
actually,
got a couple.
Markov behind, Corey Perry up there.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, Crystal. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, that warm up when they say, mesdames et messieurs, accueillons vos
Yeah, yeah.
Canadiens. That I remember walking on the ice or walking up that little ramp and getting on the ice. That was pretty cool. I actually went back last. It might have been in October. I went to see for buddy's birthday. Went to the Bell Center, and that was the first time that I seen a game after I played. And I remember taking a video of like the pregame intro because that was just so cool because I got to I got to come out of there. But again, I don't remember the warm up that much. I guess my parents were both in tears and my legs were shaking big time. But the
No
game
kidding.
I mean, yeah.
went fast, yeah. But what a game to remember, yeah.
How was Thomas Plekanec's turtleneck in real life?
Like you, it's not even a turtleneck. It's just like one of those. It doesn't flip over. It's just one of those materials that make it seam and stick up. Like it's.
So instead of wearing a neck guard kind of thing, like when I, yeah, okay, I remember wearing one of those.
That was his trend, and they worked for him. He played a long time with that.
Yeah, a little shtick.
Yeah,
Not in the
I
goatee.
love Thomas Plekanec. Yeah.
So I mean, you said you played with PK and you knew PK before. Everybody knows, how PK's personality is. Like, how is he on like that? Like he is in front of the camera 24/7. Like, is he just full of energy?
Yeah, I mean, he loves the camera. He's good with the camera. He's a good speaker. He does a lot for the community. He's a great player. Some guys, he was always great to me. I got along with him great no matter what. I've seen him in Toronto quite a bit in the off seasons, and we still pick up where we left off. But PK is PK, and he'll rub off on some guys the wrong way and on the ice, off the ice. But to me, he was great, and that there's a reason why he's been playing this long and having success. So
yeah, no, definitely, probably my favorite defenseman of all time. Like, just
yeah,
fun wise, like I can't remember watching anybody else, and I know we had Markov as the old guard for the longest time, but
yeah.
just
He does
the
this thing,
excitement
right?
PK brought. It's just
Yeah, he does this thing, and he's got his celebration, and PK's PK, and that's his brand, and he works hard at it, and good for him.
yeah.
I mean, he worked hard to get to where he was. So I mean, very
Big time.
enthusiastic when you score a big goal or whatever. Hey,
Yeah, it's awesome to
power
see.
to you, right?
Yeah.
So you said at one point, you said, like, you were just saying that after your 10 years in North America, you were going to go to Europe. Was that always your plan, or did you kind of make that decision kind of, let's say, like year 8 or 9, that you were going to go to Europe?
No, I got approached when I was 24 by a team in Switzerland in Lugano, and they threw a bunch of money at me, and I didn't really never thought of going to Europe, or my mind was to kind of play pro. Don't really know what pro is, but then I got a sniff in the NHL, play in the AHL, and you become a prospect, and then you become a suspect, and your career kind of like, even if you're playing well, I was putting out a lot of numbers, but now you got these young guys coming in, draft picks, walk-ons, bigger guys, and all that stuff. So then you get offers from Russia, the guys you can still hold your own, and they'll throw a bunch of money at you. So I kind of, at one point, it's my last year in Chicago. I think it was after my 99 points year, asked for a one-way, and they wouldn't give it to me. So I said, screw it, I'm going to go to Russia for a bit. I really got homesick. I wasn't ready. I took the money and came back, and they were nice enough to take me back. That's when the team went from Norfolk to Rockford. Norfolk went with Tampa Bay, and then Rockford went with Chicago. Yeah. Just because it's a little bit closer, and it kind of makes sense geographically. But now more and more guys go to Europe and stuff, but it was never my cards at 24, 25. But when I was like 27, 28, thinking about it, but I had a couple of stints before, didn't last too long. But like I told you, I knew that if I could play one game in Montreal, achieve that dream, then I could actually close that chapter as far as North America. 10 years, I did everything I could, and then go make some tax-free money in Europe.
I mean, you came back and scored 88 points for Rockford, so I mean, it's not like you weren't at the top of your game. You didn't come back a bum. You came back flying.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was nice to again. I had the Troy Browers, like the guys that went up, up in the NHL, but now we had like Jimmy Hayes and like Brandon Peary,
Yeah.
Ben Smith. Like we were stacked. Like they did such a good job drafting. So, and then I'm the older guy, older veteran, all-star, kind of getting these young guys full of energy. So I don't have to skate that much and use my passing skills, and they just skate and
That
bury
sounds
the
like a
puck.
dream
So
of mine.
Yeah,
not
not
bad,
having to
Don't
skate.
have
not a
to
bad
skate.
gig. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So it all worked out in the end. I didn't get a Stanley Cup or play full time in the NHL, but I got to experience life in Europe and play in I think it's 13 different countries in 17 years. So it's not a
And I
bad
mean,
deal.
I just looked up. You played my favorite player of all time is Cristobal Huet.
Crystal,
And I just pulled it up because when I said Huey earlier, you said, "Oh yeah, yeah," and I'm
yeah,
just like that to me. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pull up St. Pierre, and then obviously being my favorite player of all time, I knew he played for Louisiane, and
yeah,
I'm like, sure enough, you played with him.
yeah. I've lived with a lot of guys.
Yeah,
He was a goalie, and he's got a nice little mansion in the mountains in Switzerland,
yeah.
and
I follow him on Instagram. I'm just like, wow.
yeah, the guy's a stud. He's a family man. Like, he's obviously from there. He's French English. He speaks. I mean, I'm sure. I think he speaks German too, like Swiss German or Swiss Italian or whatever you want to call it. Like, he gets along with everybody. He's such a nice guy, and I think he might have been 41, like his late 30s at
Yeah,
least when I was playing with him in 2013, and he was stopping, like he was good. He was still at it. Obviously not at the NHL level, like because again, that's when politics come in. Like if they can get a younger goalie for cheaper, Crisco's gonna take the hike. So,
yeah.
but he was so good to me when I got to Lausanne. Took me under his wing, even just as a goalie, but thinks what to do because Switzerland's a little bit different, and obviously the Swiss league in Europe is completely different. So fans are crazier, and the atmosphere is better. And, the road trips are a little, but you get to travel. You get a lot of breaks for the for the Euro tour that they have, and but what a great experience to. And I watched him play. Like he's a big fan of yours, but I watched him play too when he was with the Habs. As a
Yeah.
younger guy, and now he was my teammate and sat beside him in the bus and had some. He loves his red wine, so we had some.
Wicked.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna continue sending him DMs on Instagram, and maybe I'll just go put at the bottom. I'm like, how much red is this gonna cost me?
Yeah,
No.
that's wicked. So you play. So now that like we've talked about you playing like the NHL, the AHL, playing high caliber and the O, and in Europe. Which was the craziest rink you ever went to, like fan wise? Either like the fans like for your team or like getting booed. Like, what was the craziest one if you remember?
Well, I mean, in the NHL, you ask any NHL player, their favorite NHL rink is probably Montreal. Just like even when I played in Boston, we played an exhibition game in Montreal, and I remember Bergeron, like I was sitting behind him or in front of him, and we came out, the garage door open after the game, and rocks are getting thrown at the bus. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's like, that's the rivalry. Like, because fans
Yeah,
know exactly there's one entrance, right? The bus comes in, comes out, and there's cops, but like we're getting pelted by rocks. So that was cool to play, that exhibition game there. But like any NHL player, there's nothing like the Montreal Canadiens, like that atmosphere. So that was probably one of my top, has to be my number one. But I mean, then you go to Europe and you get like Bern in Switzerland, which you get like, I think it's like 21,000 fans, but they're all like not hooligans, but they all have these big drums, like the booster clubs. Like you don't even hear the whistle all game. Kind of like the German teams, like the Sweden. You'll see some highlights with all these like big flags. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like the jersey you have behind you, with that logo, the Jokerit in Finland. Like that rink is unbelievable. Like it's another notch. It's almost like you wish the NHL rinks would have that European mentality together and like
Well,
add,
yeah, you can't even. I know last game that I brought my fiance to, you're not even allowed your purse in there anymore.
Yeah, it's gotta be like a
you're not.
it's gotta be like a see-through bag, and
Yeah,
it can only be like this size. Like it's crazy. Yeah,
Oh
just
wow.
everything. Just it's so crazy now,
Yeah, in
unfortunately.
Europe you got red flares, like it's a mess.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
awesome. It's almost like soccer or football in Europe, right?
yeah.
But I can't pinpoint exactly, but I remember burning playoffs like crazy, like all the same color, like um I did play in doubles for the Spengler in that Spengler Cup, and that rink is like I think it's made like the early 1900s. It's all wood, like there's gaps that you can from outside, like we get the wind, like it's
So
just
similar to when you played at the Cy Miller.
yeah.
basically, yeah. So it's completely out of this world, but for them, they're so used to that. But then again, it's Olympic ice, right? So you get to skate more.
Yeah.
But, and to me, playing at the Bell Center is like the best. I tell my girlfriend nowadays, like I said, I wish that I met you when I played there because it's sometimes I'll watch TV and I'll be like, oh, this is what's on TV. This and she's like, nah. But I'm like, this is how it goes. Like I still get goosebumps when I see it, but um I'll take her to a game at some point. But that there's nothing like it because I was right beside Carey Price when those doors and that curtain open
Yeah,
and it was on the ice. And back then, Markov had a big jug of Flexol, so he would like rub Flexol on his calves and his thighs, just because like it burns, but it just like it wakes you up. Like it
yeah.
was just a ritual. But I was right beside him, and I made sure that I would stay there. Like I didn't belong there, but so now if I was to see it on TV, I see that corner. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I was, and that tub is still there. So good memories.
I mean, I can't say that the first time I went to the Bell Center that I didn't shed a tear or two, and I was just paying
Ah,
$12 a beer, sitting in the 300s, watching my team win. But
yeah.
I did see Brandon Gallagher's first NHL hat trick.
Oh,
I mean,
nice. Very
so
nice.
I mean,
Yeah, I think my first Bell Center experience was the Desjardins section. So pretty much any Bell Center experience after that is just kind of shit because like you're used to the free food and the drinks. I'm like, holy fuck, like this is
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. And then the next time you're in the 300s and you're like, okay, how do I wait 20 minutes to use the
yeah,
pisser?
yeah. You gotta 12. You gotta move away 12 people. Sorry, excuse me,
Yeah,
excuse me. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah, it's good.
break the seal, you're done.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
But just there's no better barn. I mean, we
yeah.
just for closeness and price,
Yeah,
we had half season tickets to the Sens, and it was just
no, it's not the same. Huh?
we picked the teams we wanted to see coming in, and it was not much cheering, not much anything going on. You can sit, you bought two tickets next to each other, but you can sit two or three seats apart, so you can
Yeah,
share a
yeah,
table and
yeah.
Yeah.
and
That's
just be comfortable. But
for
the Bell
sure.
Center, I mean, I find it's different the atmosphere there now over the last few seasons than before. But just you couldn't hear yourself think
Oh no.
like,
Yeah,
and it was all game.
Yeah.
yeah. That's crazy there.
Yeah. I mean, and also too, if I was gonna
Nope,
add
nope, nope,
something, no,
nope.
all right. There's I don't know how I read it. So at some point you played for the Kazakhstan World Championship team, I guess you call it.
Yeah,
So how exactly did that work? Born and raised Canada. Did you get your citizenship like
yeah. So
while you were playing out there, or was it like yeah,
yeah, so in the KHL, there's a team in Belarus, in Minsk, Belarus, Riga, Latvia. There's that Jokerit, obviously Helsinki, Finland team. There's Astana. It's called Beris Astana in Kazakhstan. And then am I missing one? So there's 4 or 5 different teams outside Russia, which the imports, you're allowed 5 imports in Russia. The other teams, there's not really an import rule, but if you're going to show that you want to be committed to play for those teams and you're in the KHL, so you're making good money, but if you play 2 years, you can get your citizenship, your passport, and you can play for the national team. So obviously help boost up their team. And I think we had 2 Americans and 4 Canadians playing on the national team. And we played World Championship Division 2. We won. and then the 2 years before 2 years before I left, I retired. We won the Division 1, which we brought Kazakhstan to the actual big group at the World Championship. But I retired, so I didn't get a chance to play there because obviously COVID happened. But yeah, so I had my Kazakhstan. I still have my Kazakhstan passport, but it's just basically to get that blue flag on Elite Prospect saying that you're half and half. But I never saw my passport. I never saw my resident card. It's just to play on the national team, but I still have my Canadian passport.
So, like, what kind of tests did you have to go through? Like, you see in the movies or whatever, you have the national anthem, so many questions. Like, is it as tough over there? It's just like, oh, you want to be a part of our
team?
It's basically just to show the commitment that you want to play there. You're not just for the money. They're investing in you, and obviously, like, it's one thing making money, but you want to show that you still love the game and you still want to, apply yourself to on and off the ice kind of thing. And especially for those young guys that see ex-NHL players come in, they look up at you and you want to develop them too. So, but back then the Kazakhstan national team was coming up as far as like up in the rankings, so they want to kind of stack it a little bit. But almost in the last 5-6 years, they're playing that big, group of Division 1 or Group A, Group B against like Russia and all those teams. So,
well, there's a few notable guys that come from Kazakhstan. Nick Antropov. Maybe you boys will remember this Habs prospect, Alexander Pereshogin.
Oh my
God.
Yeah.
Evgeny Nabokov, Anton Khudobin, and a bunch of others, names I cannot pronounce.
There's a lot of guys, but there's that Pushkariev that was a big prospect.
I see that. Very good.
Pushy was there. And then as far as like imports, like when I was there's Kevin Dahlman. He was a big one for LA and Boston. Obviously I got mine, Nigel Dawes, Dustin Boyd, Mike Lundin, Brandon Bachensky. They played there for 4 or 5 years, and then they all got the passport. So it was all that line that all the imports playing. And then, so you want to come and play, make good money, play the year, stay there for the national team so that, it goes both ways kind of thing.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'll keep that option on the table for sure.
I'm not done yet. My career's not done yet.
Are you done with career stuff?
Yeah, one more thing. What was cool? Good. What was better? Winning the gold medal you won a gold medal, right? For the championship?
Yeah, for the division.
But still, it's still a gold medal. It doesn't matter where
absolutely.
it came from. What was better? Winning that, like, especially like with it being a national team, even though, like I said, you're born in Canada, but either way, you're technically a national team, or winning the finals in the OHL.
Well, that's a big question. Completely different parts of my life, as a 20-year-old.
I mean, like, on record, all of our fans in Kazakhstan will be watching this.
It was really cool to win the OHL because you're a teenager, you want to turn pro, you don't know what's coming for you. I felt I was a big part of that championship. I was a captain of the team. So for 4 years, all these guys went to high school with, won the then we win the championship. We beat London in the conference final, which was this team that was stacked. The following year, they won the Mem Cup with all those guys in London. So that was cool. But I would say I kind of wish my mom came to visit, but she had to work and stay with the dog back home. But my brother and dad came to Kazakhstan. So when we won to go to the big group, which was huge for the nation, obviously for Kazakhstan, it was actually in Astana. So that was probably, if you want me to compare, probably winning the gold to bring Kazakhstan actually in Astana in front of our fans to get to the big group. So that was a huge, and the celebration after was crazy. We didn't even sleep, got on our flight the next day and had like 36-hour flight. Oh, like that was a truck.
Martin St.Pierre jerseys in Kazakhstan just skyrocketed.
You see trending on Twitter.
Yeah, no. There's both.
Kazakhstanian Martin St.Pierre.
No, the two different parts of my life, but obviously winning is winning. But I never got to play for Team Ontario and under 17. I never got to play for even World Juniors or because the 83s were stacked with a lot of good guys, a lot of great players. So playing for actually any nation. But Kazakhstan, they're diehard fans. That arena is rocking. So it was good to represent a country and get that gold medal.
Love that.
So my last question before we hop into current stuff, you always see on the news like how kind of corrupt the K is and kind of shady shit that goes on. Like, were you ever like, who the fuck signing my paycheck? Like,
Yeah.
were you ever kind of like, I don't want to say worried or scared, but like, was there ever kind of cross your mind where it's like you step out of line, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't really back then, like when I was 24, that was like 2007. Then I went back 2011. Basically, they're trying to bring the KHL as professional and with the rules and regulations to the NHL. So I mean, I've had paychecks in a brown grocery bag and just full of cash. You don't really know where it comes from. You get paid. You wonder how you bring it back home. But nowadays it's definitely way better now. But some teams back in the day used to be owned by mobsters, like the Russian mob. You don't really ask questions. Ours was
Right.
is one of the I think it's mostly government owned, a few businesses and stuff. But again, sometimes your paychecks will be late, and
Yeah.
then you'll get two paychecks at once.
You just don't say anything. You're just like,
I mean, you get used to it. You get, some teams would get like 4 or 5 months delayed, and then boom, they get a big chunk,
yeah, that
right?
sounds like most of our senior men's teams here.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I've been out of the loop for a few years, but it's definitely gotten way better. But
That's
I
good
can,
to hear.
yeah,
All right, you cool if we hop into some current stuff?
go ahead.
Perfect. Um, I guess we'll get the big one out of the way. On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rank the this year's All Star game?
You know what? I barely watched it. My brother was watching it, but as far as the format, I think it was like till the four teams with
Yeah,
yeah. I To be honest with you, like since I retired in March 2021. I was burnt out physically, mentally of living in hotels for 17 years, 13 countries and traveling and like, obviously I was single, so it's kind of like always on my own, living out of a suitcase. I was burnt out mentally and physically. So when I retired, I was like, I think I skated maybe 10 times in the last 2 years, just kind of washed away hockey for a while. So if hockey's on TV, I'll watch it maybe. But I'm not gonna surround myself to watch a Thursday night hockey game at 7:30. But I
yeah.
know kind of when the games are on. But so I like, to be honest with you, I saw maybe a few minutes of that All-Star game. So I'm assuming it wasn't good, or the
I
format,
mean,
or
but I think you watched more than me and Joel put together. I don't know if you watched
I think
any
I
of it.
watched. I had some money riding on the final game, so
okay.
I watched the last period of that one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's dog shit. Like the
Right.
guys are
You can't
This
you can't
is
blame the guys. Like some of these guys are going back
mm-hmm.
to playoff contending teams, right?
yeah. Some guys need to. It's one thing, like obviously you get I think they got $1 million for the winning team. Like those guys don't need the money. I mean, most
So
guys don't need the money, or I mean, sure, 100,000 is a lot of money to take, but in the long run, like those guys want those 4 or 5 days off to,
yeah,
with their families or their wives down south, relax, decompress, get away from hockey. The last thing they want to do is do media day for a full day, and then you got skills, and then you got game, and then whoop, they're back.
yeah.
Well, full throttle for the last second half of the season here.
I feel like they should like what the NFL does,
Mhm.
where it's just have it at the end of the year. Give the guys like a bye week. Give each team a bye week. They did this a few years ago,
Yeah.
and that way everybody gets a week off with their family, rest, whatever. You're not allowed to do, team activities on that week. But then, you know, everybody gets that 1 week off, and it's not just certain guys. And at the end of the year, you have nothing left. Like, a lot of the times these guys aren't pushing anything. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to. It's the middle of the season. You're not putting
Well,
on a show that you might, if okay, your team's eliminated, whatever. At this point, it really is for fun.
yeah. Well, I
And
saw the one clip I saw, or the one highlight was Vasilevsky in net. Obviously he's a big part of Tampa's winning and going on a run, or I don't even know how well they're doing this year, but it's a 2-on-0, 3-on-0, and they're going 10 passes back door. So I mean, those are the type of injuries that they'll pull his groin on this.
Yeah.
Stuff that usually they'll shoot on during the game. Now he's going backdoor, back extra pass. It's just, I don't know. It's for the fans, I get it, but I know
As a fan, like it's not interesting to watch. Like even the skills competition, like I feel like I seen Dan O'Toole put out a great suggestion on Twitter, and it was like, have the competitions like, hey, winner of the hardest shot gets a truck.
Yeah.
Oh, winner of the shootout gets a boat.
Yeah.
And you're gonna see guys give a shit.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I don't give a fuck about a clap. Like, give me something. Like, make it worth their while to go there. Make it more interesting. Like, it doesn't have. You don't have to change the events, and I'm fine with the gimmick events.
Yeah.
But you got to give something to them. Like, and I know again they're getting millions of dollars, whatever. But if you're wanting them to look like they give a shit and they're putting in a little bit of effort, they have to win something. And I mean, great, Nick Suzuki won Chipotle for a year. Good for him.
And it doesn't even have Chipotle.
Yeah.
Or Montreal does.
Yeah, exactly.
But they got to fix something.
Yeah, something's got to change. I agree.
I don't know how the air down there is for Gary Bettman, but
I'm not sure. Yeah, he's gotta please some people now.
Yeah.
Fuck Gary.
Yeah.
Him and George Bougie.
Yeah, same class. Yeah.
I guess my next big one is, and I mean, maybe you can speak to it on a player's idea, but like, Bo Horvat gets traded. Sorry, he doesn't want to sign a long-term deal in Vancouver.
Yeah.
He's played maybe what? He played 2 games a year. He's been in the league what? Has he been in the league 10 years? He's 27.
I don't even think.
Well, 9 years. He played 2 games a year, he played 1 game a year in Long Island.
Yeah.
So he's played, let's say, 9 games in Long Island in his career. He gets traded, hasn't even played a game yet, hasn't even been to Long Island, signs an 8-year deal.
Yeah.
Does that seem like somebody that wanted to be a Canuck for life?
No. There's always more things that happen behind closed doors, and obviously the media doesn't cover it. So there's probably, I don't know if he wanted out. I don't know if his time ran out. Obviously he seems like he was a great fit there. Or maybe, like I said, his time probably ran out, and that's just the nature of the business. But the thing is it's a lot of money for what? 8 times 8, like 64?
8.5 times 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 67 million or whatever. 68, give or take, plus bonuses. But the thing is, you want a good player like that. You want to, you've seen a lot of guys. It's a hit or miss. Either they flourish and then they get a second boost for their career, or they tank. But I don't see Bo Horvat tanking. I mean, he's well surrounded with the Islanders. But the thing is, if you want a player, that's the nature of the business. If you want a good player like that and hope he does well, you gotta spit out the money. Because if you don't, other teams will, and that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? And good for him if he hasn't even played a game yet.
Yeah.
With that coin. I mean, it's frustrating for other players and fans. It's a big puzzle, but it's gonna happen. It's happened, and it's still gonna happen. That's just how it goes.
And I feel like the other piece of this puzzle, and again, just asking from your player perspective, how important is winning anymore because of how lucrative these contracts are? Like, again, hasn't played a game in Long Island. He can get there, have zero chemistry with these guys. The locker room's not, like, there's so many variables. You just signed 8 years.
Yeah.
You have to just be looking at the money at that point. Because, again, if you look at the team, you look at the up-and-comers, Vancouver has, Podolskin, has Pettersson, has Hughes. Demko's still young. Spencer Martin's coming up. They have Jonathan Lekramaki. They have JT Miller that's signed long-term. And then you look at the Islanders that have an aging Anders Lee, an aging Brock Nelson. Cal Clutterbuck's still on the books. I mean, other than Noah Dobson and Barzal, like, Vancouver looks like the better team. And I mean, 2 of the young Islanders players they traded to get Bo Horvat.
Yeah.
So, like,
that goes to show, for me as a player, maybe there's something more behind closed doors. and they're good at keeping it hush hush. I don't know. Like I said, who knows? Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it was just a straight up hockey deal that they probably thought someone else was kind of like the type of player that he was. Maybe a younger guy that could develop in a better player than he was. But I mean, that's kind of hard to do. It's Bo Horvat, like he's a stud, right? But numbers don't lie. But then again, those GMs are not that crazy. Like Lemriello has done his homework. It's it's tough pill to swallow to try to put that in perspective.
So do you think that the money matters more than winning nowadays with what the average contract's going? Because you got to think if Horvat's bringing in 8 times 8.5,
Yeah,
Cole Caulfield has to be making more than 8 times 8.5.
Yeah,
so like those seem to be the base contracts now. Everybody's getting them.
Yeah.
So does winning matter as much anymore? Like, are you caring if you're going into a contender? Because you've seen the same thing with Johnny Gaudreau.
Yeah.
Like, does it matter anymore, or is it who has the biggest dollar?
Yeah, I mean, I think money talks quite a bit nowadays, right? Especially in baseball, football, basketball. But I mean, it'd still be nice to see guys play with passion and obviously win the games. But then again, it's kind of hard to turn down $64 million to hope that team gets on a winning and make some trades in offseason acquisition. But it's hard to tell these days. Who knows?
So I mean, again, kind of an Islanders thing with this trade, but expanding the question, Lou Lamoriello, hours after signing Bo Horvat's extension, has his media. Have you seen
the huddle? Yeah, I think he said something that's too much money, or
and they just asked Lou, you don't put out specifics of your contracts. What can you tell us about the deal? And he just says it's for too long and it's too much money.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So I mean, first I'll ask you, Marty, if you just signed that contract, and normally after it's typical thing you'd say, and I mean we've heard it year after year with Marc Bergevin. I've had my eye on this guy for a while. I really like him. He brings the kind of thing you want in the dressing room. That's your typical 9 out of 10 GMs, and Lou Lamoriello is not 9 out of 10 GMs.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Like if he says that about you? Yeah, no, signed him, but too long for too much. Like
usually GMs don't say that in the media. That's one thing for sure. But I mean, he's Lamoriello. He can say what he wants. He backs it up. He's rebuilt teams from this ground up, right? But I think everybody knows it's a lot of money. I think it's just you turn the blind eye as far as Horvat in one ear out the other, and kind of just
well, it's too late. He signed the
it's too late. But I mean, I'm sure that his work ethic and his character, he's not gonna, drag his leg left and right during games and stuff. But I'm sure he'll do well, and hopefully for his sake. But again, Lamoriello probably knew that if he's not signing him or trading for him, since he's probably one of the players that he wanted, and that's more like his style, and because every GM is different. Every GM has a philosophy or a view on these types of players, right? Some like more finesse, some like bigger guys, whether it's a winger, whether it's a center, finesse D's, but he would have lost him. Another team would have signed him for that much money. And maybe that GM thought maybe he could get more. So it's just a matter of that's the nature of the business these days. It's just you snooze, you lose kind of thing, right? So his agent probably had a lot of leverage and said, yeah, no, they probably offered him 5-6 years, and his agent's like, you're gonna pay 8 years time 8.5, not he's going somewhere else or getting traded. But that was probably done before the trade, probably a verbal agreement, because they're not just going to trade and hope to sign him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know it's a completely different sport, but now kind of flipping the script to the GM side of things.
Yeah.
Like when I worked as assistant GM in baseball, I remember sitting in his contracts. And again, on the management side, some of the stuff I had to do when going to negotiate was find holes in this guy's game. We want to sign him, but we have to give them reasons why we're not willing to give them that money.
Yeah.
Do you remember ever having like that kind of conversation with your agent of like,
Yeah, for me, I wasn't the fastest guy. I didn't have that fifth speed, so I was
Mhm.
fast, but I wasn't quick.
Yeah,
And that was like the
the knock against.
the knock against me was like I couldn't beat guys one on one. I just didn't have that fifth speed that guys that are 5'8", 5'9", my size, were faster.
Yeah,
But I can make plays like no other. I can, backhand, forehand, like I could see pass and make think of 2, 3 plays ahead. But then again, most GMs back then was short guys need to be fast.
yeah,
Right nowadays, there's so many more short guys, smaller physique, and they can dangle. They're more finesse. Training's changed, right? So
yeah.
games changed a lot, but kind of wish I don't regret anything, but that was my knockoff. My agent's like, you got to get faster, you got to get faster, but there's only it's almost like everybody wants to skate like McDavid, but nobody's going to be able
Yeah.
to. That's just the anatomy of his physique and his body type, right? So
Um, I guess my last part of that would be now as a fan of the sport of hockey, do you think that it's good that more and more players are taking up a higher percentage of the cap? Like, you have more and more guys on teams where the base salary is somewhere between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
And before it was like, your Connor McDavid, I think he's making 12.5.
mhm.
9 isn't that far from 12.5. Like
Yeah,
that, and that guy's light years ahead. Like, where do you kind of cut that off? Like, to me, if I was a GM and you're asking me what am I comfortable paying Bo, I would have probably said 6.5,
yeah,
7 at absolute most would be my comfort level.
yeah,
Not because he's a bad player, but how do you compare? Like Crosby, I think is making 9.
yeah. It's just who's going
But
to fit
sound.
in. Yeah, how much cap space there is for this team? Where do they see him fit in the lineup? Who is he going to play with? He's going to project to put up those points. Then they do their background research on him. But then again, yeah, like I said, if Lamriello doesn't want to sign him or trade for him, he's going somewhere else. He's going to get that money. So maybe Lamriello is really keen on him. That's my type of player. That's like, back when I was in New Jersey or like whenever, he reminds him of someone that, he had. So that's his guy. So then that's where that trade happened, and he hasn't even played a game, and boom, he signs for 64 million. That's where it comes in the
So say
back.
fuck it.
Yeah, it's fucked. That's
Like,
fucked up.
Really, but again, that's where the politics come in. That's where the old man's club, like they all know each other. Do me a favor here or there, or like take my word. He's had I don't know who Horvat's agent is, but maybe he knows Lou, and then like they've had a great relationship, as in like he can trust him, take his word, and then who knows, Bo's probably gonna take off and do it really well. Now Lou looks like a genius, Yeah, he paid 8.5, but
and
yeah.
I think Lou is still part of the mafia. So I don't. Nobody's gonna tell me he wasn't a genius.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of salary caps, um, there's been a lot of criticism about the cap, and I mean the GM meetings are right before the All Star game. So, do you think? I mean, again, you can weigh in as either a player or a fan now, but would you do you think that they should go kind of the baseball route and have no salary cap, kind of just be a luxury tax, and see teams kind of have their own internal cap, or do you think that it's best to keep the hard cap?
Yeah, that's it's a tough topic because in the States, I mean, like NASCAR is a big sport, basketball is huge. Like they have so many sports that hockey has to compete against. So TV rights is a big thing. ESPN, like college football is massive down south. So it's kind of like it's hard to compete. I guess it all started back in like 04, 05, where like basketball and hockey were like, shoulder to shoulder, and then something happened. We went for a lockout, and then basketball kind of took off, and now they don't even have salary caps.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the salary cap's good in a way where it makes it hard for GMs to, puzzle their way into, pay this and then, without going overboard. But there's a reason why, like obviously in baseball, it's always the same teams that win,
Yeah.
win the
You
cup.
buy a
It's
championship.
stacked,
Essentially, that's
So, but I don't know if the hockey could afford that now, especially. But now it's obviously salary cap's increasing, but
yeah.
it's a lot of money. Like obviously, you get like I don't know Mahomes at is making $550 million.
Yeah,
Like
45 mil per season. That's fucked.
that's insane,
And
right?
then over and above that, you're thinking of all the endorsement deals this guy has.
Sponsorships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
My lad.
yeah, that's the sport, that's the money, and yeah, I mean, I think salary still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money to even make $1 million, right? So
Well, I'm probably also considered the old school in the sense of I like the hard cap. I think that, like you said, it keeps integrity and fairness in the game where everybody's playing with the same level. If you're saying, oh, well, he has better players than me, well, either you've given out some bad contracts or you're not spending the cap.
yeah,
And I mean, you've seen that as a result in Ottawa for years.
yeah, spend the money.
Sens did that, $20 million in cap space left, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, or then you have teams like Toronto that are near the cap every year.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have the two sides, and there's challenges to both. But I think that if not, you're going to see teams, unless they continue with the revenue share, if they went to the luxury tax, you're going to have teams like, I mean, I don't know about you, Marty or Adam, but like if you're telling me you want to go play in Columbus, I'm probably telling you to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like ça m'intéresse pas. I mean, unless you're a diehard, Buckeyes fan or
something,
like,
Yeah.
ça m'intéresse pas. And I think it's, I don't know. I think hard cap is gonna keep the integrity, but
yeah, it's who knows nowadays. Yeah. Some guys will go for the money, some guys will go for winning, some guys can get more money, some guys will take less to play with some buddies or play with guys that they've played with to get a better chance of winning. Then they'll get offered a shitload of money because there's no salary cap. They take the money. They just never know nowadays.
Yeah. I guess the only other topic that I really wanted to touch was the playoff format, and I know we've seen Sidney Crosby speak out about it at the All-Star game. I'm a fan of the 1 versus 8.
Sure.
I think now, like, we know who's playing who in the playoffs today.
Yeah.
Just because of how strong the divisions are, the way the wild card works, like we know what's happening. There's not really that fuck who's getting in.
Yeah.
And I remember like when it was the 1 versus 8, I want to say it was like the Islanders in Toronto at one point. And I forget who the Islanders goaltender was at the time. It may have been DiPietro. I remember being at Pizza Hut buffet and looking up at the big thick TV in the corner, and Islanders' third goaltender Wade Dublovix is playing, and he won it in like a shootout against New Jersey, and Toronto missed out on the playoffs by 1 point.
Yeah,
and it's just like you don't have that anymore. And that was like the last day of the NHL regular season. I remember the same thing happened. Either Philly or Pittsburgh was getting in, or they were fighting for a certain maybe home ice or something, and it came down to like a shootout, and it was just like that was intense and that was fun, and you never knew who you were playing, and there was so many what ifs, and this guy can drop from third to fifth with a loss, and like nowadays it's not like that.
No.
And I don't know, like the fact that I hate the divisional. I didn't like it ever. Are you a fan of the divisional?
The 1-8. I grew up watching the 1-8, and I grew up obviously played. My years was the 1-8, 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, 4-5. That was 1 to 4 is home ice, 5 to 8 is away.
Yeah.
Just so much more simple. Break it down. Just old school. Yeah. I'm all about the 1-8.
Yeah, me too. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
I get the divisions and conferences like or all the divisions and stuff for travel. Like I get that, but at the end of the day,
But even at that, the way they have the schedule now, like that was one of the kind of things that people they're trying to build the no the rivalry. Sorry, drew a
yeah,
blank.
Right.
The rivalry between the teams in the division,
Yeah.
but you're playing home and away against every other team, or
yeah,
sorry, every team that isn't in your division. So, or sorry, everybody in the other conference. So
yeah,
you're playing 32 games. So that leaves you with 50 games left in the regular season.
yeah.
You play, I think, your division 3 to 4 times. You don't play everybody the same.
All right.
And then you play everybody else 3 times. And it's like, I don't know. I'd rather see if you're going to go that route, you
Mhm.
do heavy division, you play everybody else twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like everybody else in the league, you play twice except for your division, and then you just load up those games because, like, hey, great, Montreal and Toronto don't play again this season.
No.
They've already finished their
Yeah.
their thing. The Islanders, the Rangers have already finished their season
Yeah.
series, and it's just like that's not building. Like the reason that you switch to this isn't doing its job.
Right. Yeah. You know what? Some fans like it. That's the thing. Some fans don't.
Yeah.
But I'm all about the 1-8 bottom line.
Yeah,
Me too. I think they should bring it back.
I would love for them to bring back.
I mean,
but you know what? When is the last time? And I mean, I've only been around for the Gary Bettman era.
Yeah.
But as long as I can remember, I've never seen the NHL be like, "I'm wrong," or that didn't work.
They can't admit they're wrong.
So that's just like
Yeah.
my slim hopes for it seemed to come back, and I was happy because like I feel like everybody I talk to is all like, "Yeah, 1-8, 1-8, 1-8, 1-8," but you never see players or coaches say like they missed the 1-8. So the fact that like Crosby, uh, stood up and said something, and I forget, I think it may have been Suzuki. That's like, the next day asked like, what do you think about Crosby's comments? And I think he said like, yeah, I know, like, that'd be nice to go back to that or whatever. But
It's never a topic of discussion.
Like nobody, that's your employer. You don't really want to stand out and go against the grain, but hopefully this can gain a little bit of traction and maybe it gets on a GM meeting list. But I don't know. I think 1-8 is just, you're not going to get better than that.
No, it's far superior than what they have going on now, for sure.
And I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed seeing
the underdog.
Well, not even an underdog. Well, I guess there is a far spread or a further spread this way than in the divisions.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed seeing that random team where it's like, you only played them a couple times this season. You guys are just testing the waters with each other. Stuff gets chippy. Now it's like, okay, first 2 rounds, you're thinking Boston's beating the Leafs.
Yeah.
So, Tampa's going to play Toronto. I think Toronto loses Tampa. But you have tapes on these guys because you play them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, you're going to be digging and you finish a playoff round, you go to the next round. You don't have all this time to start watching tape. And if it's a team you only played a few times because they're not in your division and, you don't have as much on them, you're not going to be able to watch as much game tape.
Yeah. Sometimes it's better to just not think and just go with it and adjust as it happens, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think that is the way to go. Back to 1-8.
Yeah, I think so. I'll put a petition in.
Yeah,
1,000 signatures. Send it to Batman.
Yeah.
Can we get your signature on that, Marty, or no?
I can.
Yeah,
vouch.
beauty.
Thanks, appreciate
beauty.
that.
Beauty.
Yeah. So after this, we're
Yeah.
going on, what's that? Is it change.org?
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
All right.
You guys.
So we have a yay and nay segment now. So Adam has 3 questions. I haven't seen them, and he's just going to pretty much ask: are we in favor or are we against?
Sounds good.
All right. So the first one is: should the NHL allow tinted visors to come back?
Nay.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody that has worn a tinted visor, definitely nay. Looked cool rocking my OV jersey, but I got shirt pretty fucking hard at men's league. So, and then nay to tinted visors.
For me.
Anybody thinking about getting one, bad idea.
Yeah.
Not even the tinted. He
yeah.
rocked the mirror.
The mirror visor, yeah. That was past tinted. My
Yeah.
brother wore a white helmet with a tinted visor for years, just because.
Bad move down.
Yeah. Second one: should all teams not make it mandatory, but should all teams give their rookie the rookie lap? Because I know some teams don't believe in it. So I guess just more or less should it be a thing that you should just respect the rookie's first game?
Yeah, I mean, I never had it, but I mean, I love watching that. It's but some teams it's best when the kid doesn't expect it.
Yeah.
That's the best, right? So if it was mandatory, it loses the purpose or it loses the kick to it. But
yeah, I like it. I think it's special, and I mean, I've never seen anybody. I mean, it's not like they'd come out and say it, but nobody ever seems pissed off to the rookie lap. Like it's almost
exactly.
like it's your
moment.
Yeah, it's your initiation into the league. It's you've made it. You've done your rookie lap.
Yeah, like Owen Beck just did his no bucket at the Bell Centers. No, as it was at
in Ottawa.
Yeah,
but that was still sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the last one: should reporters be allowed in the dressing room after big wins? Let's say conference final wins, after a regular season game, whenever, I don't care. But there's some times where the reporters come in, they're like, "Well, how do you feel right now?" And they're shoving microphones in your face, and the guys are just like, "Yo, can you fuck off? I want to celebrate with the boys." Should there be a line?
Yeah, because I know during the season it's media comes in 5 minutes, so guys have to be ready, put the towels on or get dressed. Kind of it's a set time after the game. So if you don't want to talk to the media, get out, kind of thing. But I mean, I know that if you kind of pick and choose when they're supposed to come, you got to be good to the media. If not, they'll blast you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
So it's part of the job where, win or lose, you got to talk to the media. You got to be good. Even if they shove their microphones in their face, it's part of the being professional and answer the bell, right?
I know I said this earlier, but I'm gonna say nay. But the only reason I'm saying that is for what I said earlier. I think we need to adapt almost like what the NFL does, or even the NBA, where they're not in the dressing rooms. You make your media requests. I'd like to see this guy and this guy. They come out to that table, the press conference room, answer a few questions. What I would like to see, though, I would like to see a camera in. I think they should almost do like what Marty was talking about earlier when we talked about the 24/7 series. And, you pay a subscription and you can pick up what's going on in that dressing room. And you want to hear, you subscribe your, whatever, $150 for a year.
Yeah.
And you get to, in between periods, you're watching, kind of the coach give his fucking pep talk or something.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you'd probably have every other team subscribing to your pep talk, and
that's the thing. It's a hitter. It's a touchy subject for sure.
I don't know. There's some way. There's somehow they should maybe after the coach talks or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to have kind of a fly in the wall experience with the players because again, everybody's trained now to say they're good game. Everybody tried hard, it's good, nobody's fault. When this team was a team, fucking, everybody's has the same handful of agents. Everybody's getting the same speech. Don't say anything. This I don't know. I'd like to see off the cuff. You just lost. Fucking somebody's breaking their stick over their fucking knee and cursing and
Yeah.
There has to be a way to figure something out.
That's why
somebody much smarter and richer than me will figure it out. But we need this. This is what we do. This is what we need.
Good stuff.
So Marty, that's all we have for you. We'll let you off on a hook. Hopefully this didn't make your Monday any worse.
No. I appreciate it, guys. It was fun. Good hockey talk for sure. Can't go wrong.
Beauty. Well, we'd love to have you back on, so we'll definitely be in touch.
And I won't yell at you. I won't yell at you at the intro.
We'll work on that.
Sounds good, boys.
So you take care. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Well, guys, 5 minutes each for fighting.
That's a big thing, Joel. So the year before, we had two owners that trying to watch the budget. And when Dan LaRuck came in and we went to the finals and lost to Louisville, when he first came in and the guys he wanted to keep from the original Comets, he had individual meetings with all the guys that he wanted to keep. And he was going to bring in guys because Laval was folding and there was like a dispersal draft or whatever. But the thing I remember from Dan LaRuck was, Corey, are you happy with what your contract is right now? I said, yeah, Dan, I'm pretty happy with my contract. I don't like going into my money for my sticks. Yeah. The ex-owner piped up and said, Corey, that wasn't the contract. Da, 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 da. Dan looked at him right in the face in French and said, hey, are you the captain? You're not the captain of this ship anymore. Femme ta gueule. Corey, how many sticks do you go through a year? I said, listen, I'm not a big stick guy. I might go through 6 sticks. He goes, done. That's done. That's in your contract. And then he said, Corey, we fix inside the dressing room first. And then this place is going to be full by the time I'm done here. And
he wasn't wrong.
It was true.
Yeah.
Dan was awesome.
The dressing room was so tight that there was no way we were losing that second year. There was no way. He made it easy to come to the rink.
Oh yeah. Dan called me up and we met for supper. I never met the guy. I show up at this restaurant. He gives me the address and I go there and I'm having supper with him and his girlfriend. We don't say nothing about money or contract or anything. We're just having a great time. It was right in the middle of a week too. It's not on the weekend or nothing. We're just having a great time having supper. And then as we're leaving, we're in the parking lot and he goes, oh, wait, c'est vrai, fallait parler de ton contrat. He goes, what do you want? I said, I want this and a pair of skates. And I wasn't very greedy back then. I remember I could have been a lot more greedy than that, but I was getting very well paid. And he said, that's no problem. You want skates and that? That's fine. And that was it. That's how I signed my contract. It wasn't even a 3-minute conversation. He says, I want to have fun this year and we're going to win. And I want to make sure we have fun. That's what he said. So yeah, Dan was awesome. Dan was a great owner.
So in those types of leagues, are you paid by the game or by the season?
No, we had all our pay was for our expenses, right? Obviously. So it was every week we had our expense sheet we had to fill out.
So it's like going on a business trip. J'ai fait 50,000.
Our expense sheet was filled out through.
That's right.
Come on, Joel. Come on, Mac.
So Corey took a long way to the rink. He got a few extra kilometers on his expense sheet. And
can you imagine poor Corey? He only got 6 sticks.
Yeah, that's it. 6. That's all I need.
Hey, that's okay. I mean, I would have took 6 sticks.
To make the first pass out of your own end and not slash anybody or cross check anybody, you're good.
Yeah, no, hey, nothing wrong with that. You probably got to take home 4 sticks that year.
Oh wow!